You have seen the headlines about Aaron Rodgers, the darkness retreats, the vaccine controversy, the trade demands, the conspiracy theories. You think you know everything there is to know about the most mysterious quarterback of his generation, but you don't. Not even close, because what just came to light involves someone nobody expected, Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State, the woman who helped shape American foreign policy during one of the most turbulent periods in modern history. And she had a private meeting with Aaron Rodgers that no one can explain, not the media, not the NFL, not even the people inside Rodgers' own circle. The questions are mounting, and the answers might be stranger than anyone imagined. It started as a whisper, the kind of rumor that floats around NFL circles during the slow months of the offseason when there is no football to talk about and reporters are desperate for anything that resembles a story. But this whisper didn't die, it grew louder. And then it became something that nobody could ignore. Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Fame quarterback who has spent the last few years becoming as famous for his off-field opinions as his on-field heroics, reportedly sat down for a private meeting with Condoleezza Rice. Yes, that Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State who served under President George W. Bush. The woman who was on the cover of Time magazine. The Stanford professor who has advised presidents and world leaders on the most serious matters of global security. What could these two possibly have to talk about? That is the question that has sent the internet into a spiral of speculation. Rodgers is known for his unconventional interests. He has spoken openly about his fascination with psychedelics, his belief in alternative medicine, his exploration of spirituality through darkness retreats in Oregon. He is a quarterback who reads philosophy books on the team plane and quotes ancient Greek thinkers in post-game press conferences. But Condoleezza Rice? The woman is a political heavyweight, a national security expert, a former provost of Stanford University. On paper, these two have absolutely nothing in common. And yet, the meeting happened, behind closed doors, with no public explanation, no press release, no joint statement, just two very famous, very private people sitting in a room together talking about something that nobody seems willing to discuss. The timing of this meeting is what makes it even more fascinating. Rodgers is at a crossroads in his career. He has been dealing with an Achilles injury that sidelined him for almost an entire season. He is coming off the most disappointing year of his professional life with the New York Jets. His future in football is uncertain. Some analysts think he will retire. Others think he will try to play for one more season to prove the doubters wrong. And right in the middle of all that uncertainty, he decides to meet with a former Secretary of State. Speculation exploded across social media within hours. Some fans think Rodgers is planning a post-football career in politics. Others think he is seeking advice on how to handle the intense media scrutiny that follows him everywhere he goes. And then there are the wilder theories. Theories about international business deals. Theories about secret alliances. Theories about things that sound like they belong in a spy novel, not a football discussion. The truth is, nobody knows. And that is exactly why this story has captured the attention of the entire NFL world. When Aaron Rodgers does something unexpected, people pay attention. When he does something completely inexplicable, people lose their minds. To understand why this meeting is such a big deal, you have to understand the man at the center of it. Aaron Rodgers has never been a normal NFL quarterback. From the moment he fell to the 24th pick in the 2005 draft, sitting in that green room for hours while team after team passed on him, Rodgers has carried a chip on his shoulder that has never fully healed. He spent 3 years sitting behind Brett Favre, watching a legend refuse to retire, watching the fans boo him every time he stepped on the field for a meaningless preseason snap. When he finally got his chance, he didn't just succeed. He dominated. Super Bowl title, multiple MVP awards, some of the most absurd throws you will ever see. The Hail Mary against Detroit, the pass to Jared Cook on the sideline, the frozen tundra becoming his personal playground. But somewhere along the way, Rodgers stopped being just a football player. He started becoming something else. A philosopher, a provocateur, a man who seemed to enjoy saying things that made the media uncomfortable. He talked about his use of ayahuasca, a powerful psychedelic plant medicine traditionally used in South American spiritual ceremonies. He went on a darkness retreat for 4 days, isolating himself in a completely blacked-out room to explore his own consciousness. He questioned the mainstream medical establishment. He appeared on podcasts hosted by people on the fringes of acceptable discourse. The NFL didn't know what to do with him. The media couldn't figure him out. But the fans, they were fascinated. Here was a superstar athlete who refused to play by the rules of celebrity. He didn't give boring, sanitized answers. He didn't stick to talking points. He said what he believed, even when what he believed made him a target. This is the man who walked into a meeting with Condoleezza Rice. Not a polished, media-trained robot. A genuine, unpredictable, sometimes controversial human being who has spent the last few years trying to figure out life after football before football even ends. His Achilles injury changed something in him. For the first time in his career, Rodgers faced the real possibility that his body might not let him do this anymore. He has always been a quarterback who relied on his legs almost as much as his arm, extending plays, escaping pressure, making throws that required him to move in ways that quarterbacks in their 40s are not supposed to move. That Achilles injury was a wake-up call. And wake-up calls have a way of making people reconsider everything. What if Rodgers is not thinking about politics at all? What if he is thinking about his legacy? About how he wants to be remembered when the football chapter of his life finally closes? A meeting with someone like Condoleezza Rice could be about anything. Philanthropy, business ventures, a book deal, a documentary series. The possibilities are endless, which is exactly why the speculation has been so wild. One thing is certain: Aaron Rodgers does nothing by accident. Every interview he gives, every podcast he appears on, every meeting he takes, there is a purpose behind it. We just don't know what that purpose is yet. Condoleezza Rice is not someone you expect to see in the same sentence as an NFL quarterback, let alone the same room. She is a woman of immense accomplishment, the first female African-American Secretary of State, a national security advisor, a Stanford professor, a concert-level pianist who has performed with Yo-Yo Ma. Her resume reads like something from a novel too ambitious to be believed. Born in Birmingham, Alabama during the height of the Civil Rights Movement, Rice grew up in a segregated South where opportunities for people who looked like her were limited by law and by custom. Her parents refused to accept those limitations. They pushed her to be excellent, to work harder, to prove that she belonged in rooms that were not designed for her. And she did exactly that. By the time she was in her 30s, Rice was already a rising star in academic and political circles. She served on the National Security Council under President George H.W. Bush. She became provost of Stanford University, the chief academic officer of one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And then George W. Bush brought her into his inner circle, first as National Security Advisor, then as Secretary of State. During her tenure, Rice helped shape American foreign policy during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. She dealt with nuclear threats from North Korea. She navigated the rise of China as a global power. She sat in rooms with world leaders who had the power to start wars or prevent them. This is the woman who met with Aaron Rodgers. So what could they possibly have talked about? This is where the speculation gets really interesting. Rice has been involved in sports before. She served on the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. She has spoken about her love for football, her understanding of the game, her respect for the athletes who play it. She was even considered as a potential candidate for NFL commissioner at one point, a rumor that surfaced during the league's ongoing struggles with social justice issues and player protests. Rodgers has been one of the most outspoken players on those very issues. He has criticized the NFL for its handling of player safety. He has questioned the league's commitment to social justice. He has suggested that the NFL cares more about money than it cares about the men who generate that money. If you are looking for a theme that connects Rodgers and Rice, this might be it. Two people who understand power structures from different angles, talking about how those structures can be changed. But there is another possibility. Rice is a serious person. She is not someone who wastes time on frivolous meetings. If she sat down with Aaron Rodgers, it was because she believed the conversation was worth having. Maybe she is writing a book and wanted the perspective of a famous athlete on certain issues. Maybe Rodgers is working on a project that requires the kind of expertise only someone like Rice can provide. Maybe it was simply two curious minds, enjoying an intellectual conversation without any agenda beyond the conversation itself. The lack of explanation is what makes this story so compelling. In an age where everything is documented, photographed, and leaked to the press almost immediately, this meeting remained completely secret until someone with access decided to talk. That level of discretion suggests that whatever was discussed was serious. Serious enough that neither party wanted the world to know about it. The internet has a gift for turning mystery into madness. Within days of the meeting becoming public knowledge, social media was flooded with theories ranging from the plausible to the absolutely absurd. And the more the people involved refused to comment, the wilder the speculation became. Theory number 1 is the most straightforward. Rodgers is planning a post-football career in politics. He has hinted at it before, joking about running for office, talking about how frustrated he is with the current state of American governance. A meeting with a former Secretary of State could be the first step in building the relationships he would need for a future campaign. Rice has connections across the political spectrum. She could open doors that would otherwise remain closed. But is Rodgers really serious about politics? The man can barely sit through a press conference without rolling his eyes. The idea of him shaking hands at county fairs and kissing babies seems almost comical. Theory number 2 is more aligned with Rodgers' known interests. He is exploring the intersection of consciousness, spirituality, and leadership. Rice is not just a politician, she is an academic. A professor who has spent decades thinking about how people make decisions, how leaders respond to crisis, how the mind works under pressure. Rodgers has talked openly about his desire to understand himself better, to explore the depths of his own psyche. A conversation with someone like Rice could be part of that exploration, not about politics at all, but about philosophy, about purpose, about what it means to lead. Theory number 3 is the one that keeps conspiracy theorists awake at night. Rodgers and Rice were discussing something secret, something that cannot be discussed publicly, something involving national security or international business, or perhaps even the NFL itself. This theory has no evidence supporting it, but it also has no evidence disproving it. And in the absence of facts, the imagination fills the void with all kinds of dark possibilities. Theory number 4 is the most boring and therefore the most likely. The meeting was completely casual. Two people who happened to be in the same place at the same time decided to have a conversation. Rodgers is friends with people in Rice's circle. Rice is curious about Rodgers' perspective on certain issues. They had coffee or lunch or a drink, and then they went their separate ways. No conspiracy. No secret plan. Just two humans talking. But here is the problem with that theory. If it was so casual, why has neither of them said anything? Why has there been no statement clarifying the nature of the meeting? Why let the speculation spiral out of control when a single sentence from either party could end it? That silence is deafening. And in the world of Aaron Rodgers, silence is never accidental. He knows exactly what he is doing. He knows that the mystery will keep people talking, and he is perfectly content to let them talk while he stays quiet. The most fascinating part of all this is how the meeting has been received by different audiences. Football fans are confused. Political fans are intrigued, and people who follow both are completely captivated. This is a crossover event that nobody saw coming, and everyone is trying to figure out what it means. The silence from both camps is the loudest part of this entire story. Aaron Rodgers has never been shy about talking to the media. He has a weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee Show where he discusses everything from football strategy to his personal beliefs about the nature of reality. He answers questions, sometimes more honestly than he should. And yet, on this topic, he has said absolutely nothing. Condoleezza Rice is even more disciplined. She has spent decades in public service, learning exactly when to speak and when to stay quiet. She is not someone who gets drawn into controversy or speculation. If she does not want the world to know about a conversation, the world will not know. The problem is that the absence of information creates its own kind of story. People are not just curious about the meeting anymore. They are curious about why the meeting remains a secret. What could be so sensitive that neither party wants to discuss it publicly? That is the question that will not go away. If the meeting was about football, why not say so? If it was about politics, why hide it? If it was about something completely random, why let the speculation fester? There is an explanation, obviously. There is an obsolete. But until someone decides to share it, the mystery will only grow. Rodgers has built a career on being unpredictable. He has cultivated an image as a man who does not care what other people think. He marches to his own beat, follows his own path, makes his own rules. A secret meeting with a former Secretary of State fits perfectly into that image. It is unexpected. It is curious. It is exactly the kind of thing that keeps people guessing. But here is what we know for certain. Aaron Rodgers is at a turning point in his life. He has spent 2 decades in the NFL, achieving everything there is to achieve. He has money. He has fame. He has a legacy that will be debated for generations. The only thing left is whatever comes next. And whatever that is, a meeting with Condoleezza Rice suggests that Rodgers is thinking seriously about his future. Not just his football future, but his life after football. Condoleezza Rice has seen it all. She has advised presidents, negotiated with hostile nations, faced down crises that would break most people. If Rodgers is looking for perspective, for guidance, for someone who understands what it means to operate at the highest levels of power and then walk away, he could not have chosen a better person to talk to. The meeting no one can explain remains unexplained. And maybe that is exactly how Aaron Rodgers wants it. He has spent his entire career proving that he does not have to explain himself to anyone. Why would he start now? Do you think Aaron Rodgers is planning a run for political office, or is there something else going on behind the scenes? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of every unexpected NFL story before it breaks, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because with Aaron Rodgers, the surprises never stop coming.